Hi,
Great to see you, Mandal.
All
So
right.
thanks everyone for joining us. Today we have a live presentation by Alkab Sheikh on AI ethics and sustainability. We are all equally excited to listen from her. Over to you, Alkab.
Thank you so much, Harsha. And I'll keep my introduction a bit short because we will wade through the slides that I have. The focus is going to be more on understanding what AI is, what is ethics, and what is sustainability. So here goes my introduction. I am Alkab Sheikh. And yes, I am PMP certified, so a project management professional. And what is a project management professional doing here? But like we all know, with artificial intelligence that has come into play these days, there has been a vivid expansion of the roles that we play and the projects that we are involved in. And I suppose everything is coming in together. All kinds of skill sets are coming in together. And we are trying to harness the power of possibility with the help of AI, of course. And so about me, well, I am Alkab. I have been working for the past more than a decade, I suppose now. But very lately, I have this combined role of leading ESG advisory for a software application development team. I am also taking care of the compliance related to ISO 27001, which is related to information security, and ISO 42001, which is related to artificial intelligence management systems auditing, and where I wear different hats in my organization. I do speak French, German, Spanish, so in case anyone wants to converse with me later on, we can do that. But that's as far as I am concerned with respect to my introduction. I'm sorry my video wasn't on for some time, but now it is. So I suppose we get started. All right. So today's, and I know that the participants have been part of sustainability, are probably themselves sustainability professionals. Maybe you are students wanting to learn more about what sustainability exactly is and why are we talking about AI ethics and sustainability. So let's take a quick look into what we are in here for today. The topics that we're going to cover are related to, of course, AI's role in shaping ethical sustainability. We will look a bit at what ISO 42000 really means. So we may not necessarily go deep dive into the standard, but we'll take a look at what it is actually and where AI ethics and sustainability is working and where it's not really working. And finally, we will look at the ethical trade-offs, what we are not talking enough. So this is, and I will probably share a few points that you can use for reflection to think about what we could contribute as people who are related to sustainability or are enthusiastic about it. All right, so here we go. And this is going to be interesting because we are talking about the three concepts. One, artificial intelligence. Two, ethics. And third, sustainability. Now, well, we have a lot of technical and non-technical definitions that are doing the rounds about what AI actually is. What is general intelligence? What is narrow intelligence? What is super intelligence? And where we go from here. So, if you ask me, I have tried to put in a very layman's view of what AI could mean for all of us. And in fact, I would like to ask you, like from your point of view, if you were to say what AI is, maybe in a small phrase or a line or maybe a word, what could that be? So if you want, you can actually type into the chat whatever you feel AI is, and then we could probably learn something from each other. So I invite you to do that. If you could simply type in what you think AI is, that would actually help accelerate our discussion and conversation around what AI actually is. So I see that we have certain chat messages that are coming in. addition of innovation and intelligence and smart working. Wow, I like that. That's from Kamya. And then we have mirroring human actions. Isn't that pretty much everything that AI or artificial intelligence stands for? Well, we have another input here. It says replicating our brain to accelerate productivity, automation, and so on. Wonderful, Nadine and Swapnil. Thank you for your inputs as well. So, if you ask me, well, I've put down a very simple line and something which is a bit similar to what Swapnil was saying, which says that artificial intelligence is nothing but systems that can act in ways that would be called intelligent if seen in humans. It's always something that we do not have, and if it's done, in a very efficient manner, we call that intelligent. We call that smart. So yes, and I think even Chandan has given a definition of AI is application which is artificially providing all information which is already provided in World Wide Web. Actually speaking, yes. So we all agree that AI is nothing but a system, and it is time to do something which human beings would appreciate and call as intelligent. So this particular was, of course, inspired by Stuart Russell from Berkeley University. Now let's move. So we all understand what artificial intelligence is. Let's move on to the second part of it, which is ethics. And this is an area which, unfortunately, for a long time had been restricted to the philosophers, to people who are doing their masters in maybe psychology, people talking about moral science, and was considered nothing to do with what technology is. But today, we are going to marry AI and ethics together. So let us first understand that what ethics is all about. What is ethics all about? So again, I would like you to type into the chat what you feel ethics is. And we are not looking at a dictionary definition or something that has to be correct. Just type what you feel ethics is all about. And I think the graphic on the slide can actually help you understand what ethics is all about. It's just a simple outline of a human being with a check mark here and a cross mark there. So it tells you what ethics is all about. So if you could just let me know what you think ethics is. Oh, wow. I see that we have quite a few answers here. And it says that, oh, Swapnil is saying that doing the right thing with the right intent. Wonderful. Rajesh has put in that ethics are nothing but moral values. Exactly. We all have a value system. We have a value system that has been instilled in us by our family, by our environment, by the society, and probably there is some value system that we ourselves have developed over a period of time. So yes, of course, moral values do matter. And then, of course, Nagendra has contributed here saying that ethics is about defining what's right or what's right and when for the larger cause and population. I like that perspective. And Mandar has contributed stating that ethics is right things in right manner to follow. Kamya says doing the right work in the right direction, which leads to the individual and organizational goals. Wonderful. Chandan has contributed again. Ethics is to know what's right and what's wrong, and the courage to differentiate both. Everywhere we are tying up intention with action, and that's something that is amazing. So yes, we do have even I have tried to put something here which is related to ethics, which says that ethics is the duty to act not just on the outcomes, but on principles. And of course, the inspiration has been from Immanuel Kant's deontology. So the focus is more on whether we are adhering to those principles or not. Those principles that have been defined or developed or evolved over a period of time. that have been given, handed over to generations and generations about what is right, what is wrong, what is morally good, what abides by the value system, and what doesn't. And this is something that now there has been a lot of debate around this. People now question as to which right are you talking about? Which wrong are you talking about? Aren't these concepts relative? Well, they are. But at the same time, there are certain absolute concepts which are very essential for human survival of the human race, for being in harmony and peace, for maintaining peace in the world. All these concepts are actually very commonsensical and agreeable by all and sundry. Okay, let's move on to the next concept then, which is about the topic of the day, which is sustainability. And I know everyone knows what sustainability is, but in a very short, crisp manner, I would love it if you could give your inputs to let me know what you think sustainability is. And I'm going to look at the chat now to see what are your thought processes around this word. And I'm waiting. So I hope sustainability has brought you here to this webinar, and it should be an interesting topic to talk about. And of course, it's an all-pervasive concept. So here we have Kamya who's saying that to use the resources to the amount what is required, so to save them for our present and future, to sustain what is available, wonderful. And we have Gina Chandra who's saying that sustainability is best practices for business management development. A very nice way to look at it. Best practices for business management and development. Very nice. In fact, yes, the very fact that sustainability has the word sustainability tells us that sustainability is nothing more than meeting the present needs without compromising the future generations. Okay, and this I borrowed from the UN Brundtland report. But it says it all. And just like Swapnil is mentioning, development without compromising the future. Now, there are debates again around this, saying that, well, the future generations will take care of themselves. Some people say that. Some people say that problems solve themselves. So we do not necessarily need to think about the future. But, well, these are our opinions, and nobody really knows whether there is really a master solution for fixing the problem of being able to cater to the future generations by maintaining and preserving what we already have. So, probably building systems that are built to last. Or, yes, I have another one. Nagendran has mentioned optimal and mindful usage of resources with keeping overall environment for longer period or almost not impacted and making not to increase the entropy. Wow, wonderful. Optimal and mindful usage is actually the key word here. And of course, we are talking about impact and the overall entropy. So yes, good. I think all of us are on the same page with respect to what artificial intelligence means, what actually ethics is, and what could be the definition of sustainability, which is more towards looking at the future rather than just what is as is of now. So having said that, we have now successfully defined all these three concepts. We have given our opinions and points of view. Let's move on to the next slide. And this is going to be a bit interactive and interesting for you. I hope so. So in June last month, that is, I stood before a hall of curious minds and I asked a question randomly to the audience. And the question was this: does AI really need ethics? Does artificial intelligence, which is supposed to be already intelligent, does it really need some kind of an ethical framework? That was the question. And I would like to know from you, if you were asked this question, okay, what is it that you would say? What would be your quick answer? The one that immediately is at the top of your mind. What would you say? Oh, well, I have Kamya who's telling me, yes, AI really needs ethics. And after all, it's the human mind that's giving the input to the system, to the artificial intelligence system. It could be an AI model. Nagendra is of the absolute opinion, yes, AI does need ethics. So, yes, let's look at what were those curious minds thinking and what did they tell me or what did they answer to the question that I asked? Does AI really need ethics? Okay, so this is what the techies came up with. So we had a group of techies in the audience, mostly from the IT industry, and they said if AI doesn't feel, why bother with rights or being fair or being unfair? Yeah. And yes, Kamya, I do agree. Without ethics inculcation, the system is going to ruin the society, obviously. If you see some of the questions out here, isn't bias just a statistical artifact and not an ethical flaw? So what they're trying to say is, and you guys may be knowing already, that the AI models or the AI system generally is trained with a certain amount of data, and based on that data, the AI is going to develop its model. Now, what if the data itself is biased? There are some flaws in the data then itself. Isn't AI going to know that, or is AI going to capture that, or does it not matter? So some techies said it's just a statistical artifact. It's not related to ethics. It's not a problem that AI did something on purpose. So if there's a bias in the data, that's going to go into your model. And then someone else tells me if a model is accurate, it's accurate. It's just a technological thing. Why does it matter if it's fair or not? Okay. And then if people voluntarily give up data, if people are willing to share their data, then what is surveillance going to do? Okay. If AI is outperforming human beings in different tasks, activities, maybe a pivot chart, a pivot table in your Excel sheet is no longer required. You just give something to AI, and AI is going to analyze the whole data set, it's going to give you insights. And within a jiffy, you wouldn't have to waste any more time on that. So, why should it wait for human approval? If AI is saving time and money, then what's wrong with automating judgment? Imagine these are the questions that came from some of the tech professionals. Now let's take a look at what was said by those who actually ran businesses. Okay, so we had the business owners telling us if the system is meeting your key performance indicators or KPIs, then what's the problem? What's the problem we have with it? If it's, it's typically that mindset where we say that if something is working, why fix it? So if the system is meeting KPI, what's the problem? If the algorithm is working for 90% of the people, then why slow it down for the 10% who are probably demanding some kind of governance around it? If AI drives productivity, what's the need to dilute it with regulation? Yeah, I mean, these days you have people using AI for generating images, some kind of creative designs, and so on and so forth without any. Uh, it's actually gone beyond it now. So there is nothing called copyright to worry about. It's an AI generated image, and you can use it anywhere. So it's actually giving you the freedom to be creative. So why dilute it with regulation when you can churn out, thousands of images in a day? Who benefits from putting brakes on AI except those who are afraid to compete? These are the questions that have come up from certain business owners. And then the most interesting part was from the young ones. The young ones said a hammer does not need ethics. So why should AI? Do we ask calculators to be fair? Why moralize machines when it is humans who misuse or abuse them? And isn't AI ethics just human guilt projected into code? And I like the last one. They simply said it's legit. It's legit to use AI. So why do we need it? Yeah. So I think Kamya is saying that without ethics, the system will ruin the society. Will it? Has it? There are people who have questions saying that, there was a time when we had internet come in for the first time. Did internet destroy the world? It hasn't so far. So then if people can adapt and adopt internet and move ahead without so much of song and dance around ethics, why does AI need ethics? That too. So it's just another tool. That is what is the so what I was trying to showcase here is that if you ask people around and if you think yourself, you reflect a bit upon um, what is your perspective around AI and ethics, and how does one go about it? There are millions and millions of questions that you will be facing, and you really wouldn't have all the answers. You wouldn't know where to put what restriction. You do not really have a boundary or a limit which you can define, like this is the wall and this is how you operate with it. But luckily, the human intelligence prevails, and there is a lot that can be done. So let's take a look at from a governance perspective then. Did sustainability focus on AI and ethics? Well, not necessarily, of course. The primary focus was everything that was related to regulatory compliance. So when we're talking about the governance aspect, it was always about whether we are abiding by the regulations, the international standards, the labor laws, the financial accounting guidelines, and so on and so forth. So that is traditionally what governance focused upon. Of course, board level ESG oversight, sustainability reporting and disclosures. Oh my God, this thing has actually shaken up, I think, primarily Europe a lot because of the ESRS standards and the complexity that is around the reporting parameters, data points, and the different standards that we need to follow. So of course, GRI, SASB, and so on and so forth. Then as far as the risk is concerned, yes, risk identification, mitigation. I think, especially with COVID and some other such disruptions that came into being, there is a lot of attention that has gone towards risk identification and mitigation, especially with respect to climate risks, reputational risks, of course, and legal risks. So, yes, people are now very conscious about the risks that are involved in things. And then traditionally, again, everybody of you, I think somebody needs to go on mute. Okay, I think stakeholders engagement and materiality assessment happens to be the foundation stone of any action, any kind of initiative or drive you carry out within your organization, because you need to understand what is actually material, what is actually important for your stakeholders. And when you do that analysis from all perspectives, you actually understand what are the areas on which you need to focus in order to arrive at certain goals and targets across your geographical locations, our sites, entities, business divisions, and so on. So that is, of course, an essential and important aspect. In fact, a starting point after which you can plan out how you are going to meet your net zero targets. And then comes your policy development, code of conduct, the ESG, the CSR activities, what is good, bad, everything will come in there. And of course, you have the internal audit and assurance. Well, it all happened and developed over a period of time. I think the last 3 years, a lot of focus is now also on the assurance or the insurance of ESG data. And of course, your scope 2 emissions and supply chain due diligence, executive accountability for the KPIs, and then came greenwashing. So yes, we have ethics and anti-corruption frameworks that were also focused on, and alignment with all the overarching goals like the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, 17 of them, UNGC, OECD frameworks, and finally, the investor relations. So, like they say, ESG, $1 trillion economy. So, investor relations and non-financial risk transparency. So, imagine that sustainability has traditionally been focusing on doing things right any which ways. It's just that it's voluminous. There is a lot of volatility, uncertainty. There's a lot of disruption, high risk, and the level of predictive events happening, the ability to predict them is improved apparently with the use of AI. So people are looking forward to plan much in advance for what they could foresee with the help of all possible technical inputs or insights that they can gain. And AI is actually playing a great role now in that. And then, of course, so that has been what is the traditional outlook towards governance with respect to sustainability. But with AI, governance usually expands. So I would like to ask you, what do you think AI will do to enhance what you can do within governance, within the governance framework for sustainability? Just type in whatever comes to your mind. It doesn't have to be a right or wrong answer. But I suppose you may have a perspective, since most of you may be practitioners or academicians, or for that matter, students who are learning about sustainability, ESG, AI, maybe some of you are tech professionals. What do you think will AI do to help enhance the governance aspect? Well, we do have an answer out here, and looks like we are talking absolutely. We are talking about data validation, data collection. In fact, I'm sure most of you on this in this event are aware of the different data collection platforms that have come into fore. I mean, even AI-enabled, AI-powered platforms who are going to help you, I mean, not just collect the data, but actually analyze it, give you insights around what you need to focus on, what are the things that don't look compliant, and so on and so forth. Again, so AI can definitely play a role in validating data, in collecting data. And what I like here is, Nagendran, your point about pushing towards transparency, accountability, and reporting. Transparency, yes, a major issue. Accountability, of course, and reporting. Well, reporting has now become a full-time role, actually, especially in the sustainability field. I think Kamya has mentioned about risk management and compliance. Yes, that is where AI is going to play a major role. Action automation. Wow. Sustainability and ESG monitoring. Interesting. So let's then, go ahead and look at, so now what is AI going to do? So since decisions are now also going to be made by systems and not humans, and these systems are expected or said to learn, evolve, and influence markets, supply chains, recruitment, big time, hiring. These days, if you see the job descriptions, if you see the CVs that you receive, the resumes, everything that is AI generated, you are no longer in the know of what exactly is working. Okay. Supply chains, hiring, compliance, even climate models are being generated by AI. So governance now must include questions. Questions around not just how the AI model is working, but how was the AI trained? What was the training data that was used to train the model, which is going to be working? There are so many questions around the data set. Whether the data that was gathered with consent, whether the data that was gathered was pre-processed correctly, cleaned properly. Was there any synthetic data that was used for training the model? So there are a lot of questions that could come into picture, because at the end of the day, you want the data to be a very close representation of what actually the reality is. So how the training data has been assembled, collected, and cleaned does matter. Who reviews its outputs? So if you have an AI model and if you have some output that you derive from it, who is reviewing the output? Who is looking at whether the output is the optimal output or not? Who is looking at whether the output is just something theoretical or it is practically applicable or not? Who is looking at whether the output is right or wrong? Is it a decision that we are looking at? Is it a suggestion we are looking at? Is it based on real facts, or this is some kind of just a good looking conclusion based on the AI's experience of dealing with your queries and your inputs? And of course, what values are encoded? And what if it fails? Who is going to be accountable, or what is going to be accountable? And how deep is going to be the accountability? What is at stake? These are the questions that are definitely going to change the way we look at governance. All right, so that's as far as AI's influence on governance is concerned in the world of sustainability. So let's take a look at how AI shapes sustainability in governance. And I think these are the three main ways in which AI shapes sustainability in governance. Like you guys had already mentioned, automated ESG reporting. So in different ways, we are looking at it. Right now, we are looking at a lot of applications that are helping organizations decide which parameters to collect data upon, whether they are going to collect the data merely by, data inputs from several sites, or are they going to abide by certain standards and their defined data points on the basis of which they're going to collect the data. Is the data going, is their application going to generate a report in a particular template? Is it going to be in a machine readable format, and so on and so forth? There are so many questions around the efficiency of these systems and platforms. So AI does help corporates collect, verify, and report metrics in real time. But again, the question is, if the algorithm is going to favor incomplete data, then there is no meaning of governance. So how do we know that everything has been disclosed? How do we know that the ESG dashboards are actually really transparent and not just showcasing data that is good to see or good to look at? So yes, automated ESG reporting is definitely something where AI is very handy. Then we come to climate policy enforcement. Of course, AI models, I think there are quite a few things in the market out there where AI models are simulating carbon pricing. They are able to track deforestation. They are able to flag something that doesn't look fit into what the disclosure has been, what kind of data has been disclosed. Is it right, wrong? Something looks fishy. AI is able to even look at that. But the question is the model efficient enough? Is anybody auditing the model? Have we, when we are subscribing to a particular platform, when we are leveraging some AI technology into what we are doing, have we really asked about how the model functions? Who is auditing the model? Is the model programmed correctly? Because if the model is wrong, if the data is wrong, if the data is not good in training, then it's going to churn some output which is not going to be truly representative. So if the model is wrong, the policies will definitely fail. And of course, the third aspect is about risk and compliance monitoring. Here, AI does come into picture. It can scan. The good part is AI can scan things at a very fast rate. I mean, something beyond human. Yeah, it can scan thousands of legal, operational, ethical signals in a go. But if it flags minority-owned suppliers disproportionately, then it is not going to be efficient. So AI cannot really understand when it will go into a discriminatory mode. And in fact, people who interact with ChatGPT or any such AI agents, you will find that after a point of time, when you keep asking questions and when you keep prompting the AI, sometimes it hallucinates, sometimes it's not able to give you an ethically right answer. So we need to somehow have a system that is going to audit these algorithms, not for the technical efficiency of it, but whether what goes into it and what comes out of it is something that is acceptable in terms of its ethical accountability. So ethical governance is nothing but accountable algorithms. All right. So much said about how AI shapes governance and sustainability. Now let's take a look at the first global AI management system standard, which is ISO 42001, 2023. And I'm sure many of you as professionals must have been part of audit teams or must have are auditors themselves or are planning to become one. But it was this particular standard is really interesting and comparable to the ones that already exist, like ISO 27001 as well. So grosso modo, the structure remains the same, but there is a bit of a difference. Yeah, because organizations do not have an idea of how to put a structure around managing the risks that emanate from the use of AI, the ethics that are involved, and the outcomes. Okay. The good part is that ISO 42001 is the first international standard to guide responsible AI deployment, and it is almost shaping the way AI should be programmed, the way the algorithm should be constructed. So that is something that ISO 42001 has actually tried to or has made an attempt to live by. So let's look at some principles of AI that can be trusted, or responsible AI. That's what it is called. And I think somebody needs to go on mute. I think it's Kanchan. Yeah, thank you, Kanchan, for going on mute. Let's look at the principles first, and of course the pillars. So here we have all the principles that you already spoke about when we were discussing about what AI is and what ethics is and so on and so forth. But we'll go through it again. Um, Anything and everything needs to be safeguarding human rights. So we have to have something that is responsible, that safeguards human rights, which are predefined for everyone, and protect the data we are interested with. So when the moment you say data, of course, it has personal data and non-personal data and so on and so forth. There are so many aspects to data protection and data privacy, but then that probably we will discuss on some other day. So yes, we need responsible systems. We need accountability, of course. We need to seek and leverage feedback for continuous improvement. We get to know something is not working, this is not right, we need to change that. So we learn from it. Just like AI learns, we too learn from it. And transparent, yes, we develop a transparent user experience. So the users should know if a machine is giving them a recommendation, what is it based on? How does it think? What kind of algorithm it is applying? So that way it is transparent and you know what to expect, what kind of thinking you would expect from that AI model. And then, of course, the whole idea is responsible and trustworthy AI should be empowering. It should promote economic growth and employment for our customers, their employees, society, people, community, in fact, for the entire human race. And of course, inclusivity is something that has been there since a long time, has come into highlight since quite a few incidents. But I think here what it means is that we need to consider the societal values of each and every person who's going to be impacted by AI and not just those who created the AI model. We see a lot on the social media things that say that AI is for those who are creators. AI is not just to be consumed. But whether it's a consumer or a creator. Both need to be accountable. We need to include each and every person from the human race who is going to be impacted by AI. So, how does this all tie in with the pillars of ISO 42001? So, if you see the pillars, the context and scope, which is common for all ISO standards, I suppose. But this is where the focus area is more on where exactly AI is applied and why is AI a concern for the stakeholders involved for that organization, be it profit making, a non-profit, or a government organization. And that pillar will actually define as to how are you going to assess the risk? How are you going to identify what are the risks involved in the use of AI? Be it using AI for increasing productivity of your employees, be it using AI for generating some kind of output which you will use in creating further models. You need to identify what risks are involved. You need to assess those risks. There is a bit of concern in the European Union around the use of data, the use of personal data of Europeans, and therefore we have this EU AI Ethics Act, which is right now in the process of evolution. But there's a lot that is going to come up, especially with respect to personal data that is being used and fed into systems that are using artificial intelligence. So yes, there is a focus on how to mitigate harms. So we have to look at whether there is a bias, whether something is transparent or not. Is there an abuse or misuse of some data? So risk management definitely is another pillar of ISO 42001. Then we have governance and role. So who is going to be accountable? Somebody needs to be accountable for the decisions, for AI decisions, for the data that has been taken, the data that has been taken for training, the data that has been taken to analyze the insights, and for any oversight that happens in the use of all of these. Transparency, again, harping on the same thing again and again. We need explainable AI that can be understood, its functioning, its algorithm, the traceability of how the decisions have happened, disclosures for internal external users, and finally ethical alignment, fairness, whether it's fair or not. Well, they say that AI doesn't feel yet, it doesn't have a conscience. I don't know while I'm talking here whether it has developed one now, but it is important that there is an ethical alignment and that it's a human-centric design. Because at the end of the day, a technology is as good as what it does. So if AI is not deployed or leveraged for the benefit of the human race and being ethical, then it's of no use. It's not a human-centric design. And definitely it has to be sustainable. We do not want a world where the AI decides that humans are not good for the planet, and then we are all gone. So of course, ethical alignment is also the pillar. So you see that the ISO 42001 has taken care of the governance aspect with respect to artificial intelligence management systems, and that is something that is very interesting for all of us. In the interest of time, I may go a bit faster. Do let me know if I am talking too fast, and I will slow down my pace. All right, so how does this AI, ethics, sustainability, ISO 42001, this entire governance thing, how does it strengthen ESG aligned AI? So the good part is that it enables the responsible AI, especially when we talk about the carbon footprint, carbon tracking, waste management, resource allocation, the algorithmic audits for all that is related to the social aspect of ESG, fairness, equity. Then again, transparency by design in anything that is related to environmental data system. It also bridges the gap between ethical aspiration and technical execution. So ethical aspiration, again, the reason why I've used the word ethical aspiration here is because, like we mentioned, ethics is very simple. It's the between right and wrong. And some people may not necessarily be aligned to the global ethical understandings. Probably they'll have to deep dive into what exactly is it that they're looking at when they're talking, because There are cultural differences among different countries, different continents, different races, religions, ethnicities, etc. So the way of thinking also differs. So what may be ethical in A country may not be ethical in B country. So there could be a gap there. And so there could be differences in ethical aspirations and the technical execution here. The gap between these two can definitely be bridged with the help of AI. All right, so moving ahead. So whether we have just one standard, no. We know that ISO is a universe in itself. There are so many standards that have been developed after a lot of research and thorough analysis of what needs to be done, what are the best practices, what could be implemented. So we do have ISO 42001 as the AI management system standard that focuses on process, practice, responsible AI, effective governance, and so on. But if you look at ISO 23894, it's a complete guidance on how to manage the risk. Okay, so if you want to really know how to identify, assess, and manage AI risks, this is the go-to standard because it is going to completely focus on the ethical, legal, and societal implications, as well as what how you could go about mitigating risks. Of course, it doesn't have a solution guidance, but it will definitely give you the right kind of process, method, active plan to go around mitigating risks and that in that way ensuring responsible AI deployment. So that is more or so at an organization level. But when we come to the systemic level, then you definitely have to look at the impact assessment. And like any other ISO standard, impact assessment is very important. And I think we have studied it a lot, especially when we were doing masters in ESG with IICSR. So impact assessment is definitely important. We these are so it has the detailed processes and methodologies for managing AI risk. It's tailored to unique challenges posed by AI for organizations, and it provides a structured approach in which you can just follow the structured approach and be able to identify, analyze, and address all risks that are associated with artificial intelligence. So yes, ISO 42005 is what is going to help you with the impact assessment. And in fact, there is a thanks to again artificial intelligence and the World Wide Web, we have a lot of information that is available online to read about these standards and look at what people have already done with the help of these standards. Okay, so that's at the systemic level. And when we go to the very foundational and technical level of what exactly constitutes AI. So when you say training data, what does it mean? When you say an algorithm, what exactly does that mean? When you say it's machine learning, do I really understand what machine learning is? Have I confused it with something else? So we need to be sure of what are the terminologies that we are using, the concepts that we are talking about, and we need to use them. We need to use the same ones. So standardizing vocabulary and definitions for AI is very important, and that's why we have the ISO 22989. It helps you understand the foundational concepts for developing and implementing AI, and therefore we can have a consistency in the understanding of those concepts. So when we use a particular term about AI, the other person, whether it's a stakeholder, an organization, or employees, colleagues, they would be understanding it in the same way. So it's important to know that when we use the terms, we cannot use them loosely. We need to know what all it includes, covers, or implies. All right, so that's as far as the ISO is concerned. So you have several of them. You have technical guides. Now, when it comes to really people who are into that kind of a technology and are developing that, definitely there are technical guides that help you develop and manage those technologies. You have a range of them. Like you have 23053, 5259, and so on, all these that have been listed out here. They'll help you to assess the models, the systems, and the algorithms right from the data pre-processing stage to the model training stage and to the deployment as well as for the maintenance. So the good part is that we no longer are in the blind. We know that there is a structure and framework in place which can help and guide us to check and see whether the model is good or bad. In the sense, is it efficient? Is it aligned ethically? Is it actually giving us the outcome that we actually intend to have? And whether it requires maintenance and when and where. So there is also a technical aspect or a technical guide that is available for people from the ISO standards. So that was a very quick run through of the ISO standards. Actually, it's an entire universe. And if somebody really wants to be a full-fledged uh, artificial intelligence management system auditor, or someone who really wants to focus on things going right, being done in the right way with the right intention, and having a tab on whether there is something that's not going right. This is what you should focus on, and it's like a reference manual that you can have and refer to now and then to ensure that things are in place. So that's as far as the ISO standards related to AI is concerned. This is really useful, and it has, in fact, it helps you to understand uh, how to go about um, not just identifying where the problem is, but being able to predict with the help of your human intelligence what could go wrong. And that is the beauty. That's where actually the HI or the human intelligence is actually going to audit AI and tell it what is right and wrong. So at this stage, yes, this is where we are. And it's pretty interesting. I sincerely urge you to go and read a bit about it. Yes, and finally, we are at the point where we are going to discuss where is it working and where it is not. Okay, so of course, AI works like you guys mentioned, and here is a case where IBM's AI for deforestation tracking has usually helped reduced illegal logging by 30% in Sumatra. This is as per the WWF 2023 report. This it has done by predicting patterns of deforestation. So this has definitely helped. It succeeded because it is used in prevention. So preventative ethics. So here we have technology serving ecosystems, helping us know where there could be a possible deforestation, and therefore we taking action on that. So this is where AI is definitely helping. But where is AI failing? When power is outpacing responsibility. So uh, you know that computer vision and all such other things are used for facial recognition, especially in policing. But there is a high chance that there are false positives for black faces. So 5 to 10 times higher than white faces. And this has been reported by MIT in 2019. So there is an automated bias that has come into the system. And we do not know whether we should be trusting the data that's related to the computer vision or not. So this is where AI is failing. It's not really working. It's not giving us the right answers. And it could be abused. All right. And in the interest of time, the last bit of it is the ethical trade-offs that we are not talking about enough. And this is typically a person who would focus, if it's a business owner or a CEO or somebody who wants to focus only on increasing productivity, having a great fast output. There is always a compromise, privacy versus accuracy. So in 2023, a Stanford study just published that training AI on medical records boosts cancer detection by 12%, but exposes 1.4 million patients to data breaches. Now, someone may say that it's better to get to know that we have cancer rather than thinking about whether a data has been breached or not. But then, why can't it be that we can ensure that there are no data breaches and still have a proper AI trained on detecting whether a person has cancer or not? So those are the things that we need to think about. So are we trading human dignity for procedure? So somebody has to take that call. Who is going to take that call? Okay, and then we have speed versus sustainability. So for a fact, Google's 4-day LLM large language model training sprint, it emits 552 tons of CO2, equal to 300 homes' annual energy. Now, is that really sustainable? Not at all. So, the very concept of sustainability, which is laid on the foundation of uh, our future generations. We are burning our children's future to shave off hours of their lives. So this is something that we need to think about. Probably there will be, water bodies that will be just soaked up by AI because it requires that much of cooling centers. So we do not know at this point whether anybody is discussing about it enough or not, whether anything is being done about it enough or not. So yes, I think I am almost on time, but some reflection points that I would like to share with you is, if you are building AI, then are you building AI that serves people, or is it merely for profit? Okay, are you auditing the AI system for harm or you're assuming good intent? Will your grandchildren inherit a world shaped by your ethics or your shortcuts? So obviously, the most dangerous AI isn't the one that rebels, but it's the one that obeys without conscience. And that is my takeaway, that it's up to us whether we voice it, whether we act upon it, and how much of AI do we consume? How much of AI do we create responsibly? So, those are my 2 cents with respect to how AI is shaping sustainability. And that is all I had from my end. This is me. I am Alkab. I have been into training, learning, and development in automatic infotech. I am the ESG advisory for a software development project related to ESG, and also into compliance with respect to information security. I'm a change practitioner, and so on and so forth. But yes, I'm also the lead auditor for ISO 42001. And I believe that work is love made visible. So I'm leaving this thought with you. I hope this session was useful. If you have any questions, I'm willing to answer.
Alkab, we will send you the questions. Thank you for firstly taking such an such an insightful topic and covering in so much of depth in such a limited period of time. We will share with you the questions. There are many questions on LinkedIn and other sites also. We'll share them with you, and I hope people can connect with you on LinkedIn.
Great. Yes, of course they can. I'm open for any questions and any discussions. Definitely.
Thank you, Alkab. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.